All right, y'all. Well, welcome back. We're about to hit the college football week, and I mean, first thing that we got to say is what the fuck? I mean, holy shit. What an incredible weekend of college football that we got to see this week. This is everything that you love watching college football for. This is upsets galore. This is great games. This is absolute and utter fucking chaos. And I mean, we started off a Friday night. I've been talking about Syracuse all season long, going in, playing at number 25 UNLV, getting their second upset of the season with a close game. But let's really talk about Saturday when you have, count them up, Missouri, Louisville, Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan, and USC all losing on the same day at the same time. The Texas A&M game was absolutely hilarious to watch. Missouri looked like they never even belonged on the field, and this kind of relates to a couple of things that I'd already talked about this season with Missouri not being there yet. I've already touched on that once on our episodes, but I've already talked about that as well. As they just don't look there. They're not a complete team yet. Even though they won some good games, even though they have some great players, they're just not there. And Texas A&M completely and utterly exposed them. Not to mention, Texas A&M looks like they're coming together. So that is a scary, scary team to be looking at down the road as SEC play starts to really look at things going. Louisville, tough loss at Notre Dame last week. Playing at home against the SMU team that is on the rise and is looking to compete in the ACC and is at this point is at one loss behind the leader of the ACC and has a real opportunity to play in an ACC championship. But you gotta be better, Louisville. And let's get to the big one. Nothing makes me happier than watching Alabama lose. It just tickles me inside every week. I mean, there's only one thing better than Alabama losing, and that's the fucking Tigers winning. And so this was great. Look, the score is 40-35, but realistically, Alabama never had a lead in this game. They really never had. I mean, they had opportunities to take the lead, but every time they did, Vandy came out, played good defense, shut them down, got Pavia the ball back, and he went and did magic. The Tennessee game's really interesting because I think one of the biggest problems with this situation was late game coaching mishaps. You got to call a timeout at the end of this game when you all of a sudden you make this deep pass, you do Tennessee football, you're in this tough game, you're on the road playing at Arkansas. The SEC is a hard place to travel. And you don't call a timeout when you had three, count them, 1, 2, 3 timeouts to be able to play and get yourself an opportunity to win that football game, and you don't. Michigan and USC, wow. I mean, the Big Ten, it really seems like it's about to be. We'll get to this in a second, but it really seems like Michigan and USC are completely out of the Big Ten race. Obviously, there is still strange ways that these teams can get into the playoffs, but Washington, not a great football team, beat Michigan by 10 points. Minnesota might be decent, but shouldn't be beating USC. So absolute chaos. This is what I fucking love about college football. Moving on to next week about what we should be watching. Friday night fun. Cam Rising still out. Utah, number 16, on the road at 4-1 Arizona State. They should be worried. This is definitely an upset possibility, and this is without Cam Rising. You haven't seen great quarterback play, so keep your eyes on that matchup. Texas, Oklahoma, number 1 versus number 18, kind of the first great game on one of the greatest weeks of college football that we'll see this season. The Red River rivalry finally having real deal playoff SEC implications. Texas not technically on the road, but this is going to be a hell of a game. Quinn Ewers should be making his return from his injury. I cannot wait to put eyes on this game. Kind of following that, around the same hour, will be number 4, Penn State. Kind of Penn State really quietly sneaking up, not talked about, part of the Big Ten, going out, taking care of business week in, week out. But this really is their first real test. USC should, and I repeat, should come out with a little bit of fire, I would assume, after a couple bad weeks and give Penn State a test, especially while they're playing at home. But I do think Penn State will edge this one out, but not 100% certain. Next up in the afternoon hours is going to be Florida at number 8 Tennessee. Why am I talking about this game? Man, Tennessee just lost a heartbreaker to an unranked SEC opponent. Florida and Tennessee is one of the longest rivals in the old school SEC East. This brings back the heydays of Tennessee winning national championships, of Florida winning national championships. It'd be exciting to see if Tennessee can turn it back around, get their heads on straight, give themselves a chance to win the East and still represent the SEC in the playoffs. And then finally, one of my favorite games of the week, always to talk about, is going to be LSU. Number 9 visiting number 13 LSU. This game has so much implications right now. Obviously playoff, obviously SEC West, but this is one of the oldest rivalries. I mean, this goes back to the 1950s. LSU, Ole Miss, back and forth in the late 50s. LSU beats Ole Miss for a national championship to make a national championship run in 1958. I think the real story here is, can LSU slow down Ole Miss's defense with all of its injury problems? No perk. Defensive line beat up. But let me tell you, Whit Weeks and Greg Penn went out and played a phenomenal game of football. And I think the defense is going to be simplified, which could cause problems, but could make people play a little more free, a little more lively. You know, Garrett Nussmeier is going to put up some points. Love to see, hopefully seeing a lot of Caden Durham, wide receiver room, running back room, getting healthy. Let's go fucking Tigers. And then game of the week, obviously, no brainer. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Oregon. This is really both teams' first true test. No one's played anyone. Ohio State going to Oregon, going to the Pacific Northwest. This should be a hell of a game to watch. Here it is. Obsessed with balls, talking about college football. Thanks so much for